I'm an 18-year-old guy and my brother is 12. Well, he isn't actually my brother, he's my cousin adopted from birth because his mother was an addict and unfit to care for him. As such, he has a very severe learning disability, and his math and reading skills are that of someone half his age, best case scenario 4 years younger. He's been through summer school his entire life and a couple fruitless programs. And I don't tutor him because he's kind of annoying to me for no reason and I want nothing to do with him when I'm out of here. Recently my parents found a tutoring program that specializes in learning disabilities and are going to give a shot at that. The problem is, my dad was laid off due to the pandemic and only my older sister and I are working. And as such, they don't have too much money to be able to afford it, but really feel the need to help my brother and get him what he needs. Earlier this week my parents sat us down and told us that it's gotten to a point where my brother might be held back and he really needs that tutoring, and because we are his older siblings and they're not employed, that my sister and I will foot some of the bills. We immediately objected to this. My sister said that they have no right to do that, and I said that my brother is not my responsibility, but they shut us down and said that we're a family and family helps each other. I realized that being their joint ownership of my current bank account, that they can take funds out of it without my knowledge, and I would have no recourse, so later that night I opened up a new account at a different bank and scheduled a wire transfer. The transfer went through today and my parents got a notification and began to get on me about it. I told them that it's my hard-earned money and I cannot have it at risk of being garnished, but they yelled at me saying that I need to help contribute to my brother and told me about how they've tried for so long to help him out and for me to not stand up for him is very low of me. Now I'm feeling bad for this. I don't want my brother to suffer, but I don't want them touching my money. Not the idiot. Also, if you're in the United States, your brother is probably entitled to additional help at no cost through the school system. He would need a 504 or individualized educational plan due to his medical disability. The school would then help set up appropriate support and accommodations. Traditional tutoring may not help your brother. He needs specialized education based on his disability. Everyone sucks here. Yes. You don't have to help if you don't want to. But is it the kind thing to do for your family? Also yes. Is there a way to talk it over to come to a compromise? Is there a way to do it on loan? I get that siblings often fight, but it's also immature not to want to help people who clearly need help. Your family has no right to take your money without your permission. If they were really going to take money after you said no, that's not okay. Asking for your help, yes. Demanding it, just not the right approach. Is your dad actively looking for work? Are there other resources they can seek out? Everyone on here is so judgmental, but I just want to suggest approaching the situation with kindness and openness to find what's gonna work best for all parties. Not the idiot for transferring the money. You're 18, and if you want to have your own bank account, that's totally appropriate. Ultimately they are the parents, and you are the child, and it's not appropriate for them to put that responsibility on you. You have a responsibility to achieve your own goals and live your own life, and you get to decide if you have the bandwidth to help your brother. That said, if you've finished high school and are 18 and still living at home, it's reasonable to have a conversation with your parents about what contributions you will make to the household. I, 22, have a younger sister, 20. I'll admit I have had some resentment toward her for a long time. Our parents always made it so she was the baby who had to be protected and cared for by us. Even with a 2-year age gap I was expected to cater to her like she was much younger than she actually was. If she wanted to hang out with me, when I wanted to hang with friends, or had plans with friends I had to let her tag along or stay home with her, and if I brought her out I needed to make sure she was included like one of the friends. But also not push too much. And it reached a point where she would always want to hang out, and even if the plans were to do something she couldn't because she was small too, and some places like our amusement park and trampoline park had stuff she was too small for, I was expected to stay by her and do stuff that accommodated her. As I got older and started working it was expected I would treat her with my money and would get her something every week. Whether it be some candy or me paying for her to see a movie or something. My senior year was tough. I ended up with a really bad case of the flu and was out for 6 weeks, and when I went back I had fallen behind a crap ton, and by the time the SATs came around I was studying super hard. She got a bad grade on an essay right in the middle of them, and my parents got on my case for not taking the time to reassure and comfort her. They kept bugging me to take her out, and so I ended up losing time studying because she was so upset we needed to do milkshakes, and then she needed to see a movie with me, and then we had to do other stuff on other days, and that was time taken from me. My sister's expectations for me to treat her like a kid have continued now that we're both adults. And I hate spending time with her. She's so damn demanding and needy, and it's hugely aggravating to me. I don't spend a lot of time with her anymore for that very reason. She brought it up recently and told me she misses how things used to be. She told me I should be checking in on her more, helping her out more with stuff now that she's living with roommates versus at home. Something inside me snapped. I told her that it was not my job to treat her like a child. That she might be my younger sister, but she isn't that much younger than me, and if she wants a relationship with me, she needs to grow up and stop expecting to be doted on and taken care of by me. She yelled and then ran and told our parents. All three say I'm the idiot. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You can't be a babysitter for your sibling at this age, and I'm saying this as the younger sister in the family, with a 5 years difference. Your sister is not a child anymore, so your anger is not misdirected, but I think you should talk this through with your parents as well, because they raised her this way, so if it's anyone's fault, it's mostly theirs. Also, what exactly does your sister need help with when she's living with roommates? Is she friends with them? Does she have any other friends? It's highly possible she might be unable to build friendships if she is as spoiled as your post describes it. This is a perfect example of how to not raise your children. I'm the younger sister in this scenario, and I am blessed my older sister adores me after how obnoxious I was as a child because of how our mom raised me. Your little sister isn't your responsibility, and your parents permanently dented your relationship with your sister with how they raised both of you. It sounds like a case of arrested development for your sister. Younger siblings generally don't tag along with their older siblings after they reach puberty, but it's obvious that she has some developmental issues. Does she not have any friends of her own? It's a sign that she has a bigger issue than being an annoying little sister. One of my, 16, earliest memories is a 4-year-old me crying over my mother's, 47, seemingly, dead body until she jump-scared me. I started crying, and she consoled me. Ever since then at least once or twice a month she has done this. I didn't figure it out until I was like 9 or 10, and even after I played along minus the crying, and on seeing me not crying I saw her giving me what I now know as wary glances. Anyways, yesterday she did it again. I had just come home from an extracurricular and was exhausted. I called out to her, but no one answered. I then went to check on her and saw her in the same position when she pretends to be dead. I knew nothing bad had happened on seeing her breathing and stealing glances at me thinking I didn't know. I just closed the bedroom door and went to the kitchen to grab some food. A few minutes later she came down and asked me if I was okay. I said yes. She then asked me why I didn't check on her. I just replied with I think I'm too old for this game now, in a humorous tone. She didn't seem to see the humor, though, because next thing I know she is shouting at me, calling me ungrateful and selfish. She then started crying and said that I didn't care about her anymore and would be glad if she passed away. Finally she said she was disappointed at how I turned out and left to lock herself in her room, where she has been since except for the few disappointed and angry glances my way when she came out to get food. Her eyes were red. My mother is a single mom. Dad never bothered to be a part of my life. She has done everything she could for me to have a comfortable lifestyle, and I honestly feel terrible for making her cry. Maybe I should have been more gentle with my approach to the situation or played along. I don't know, but on the other hand I was exhausted and was honestly sick of the game. Am I the idiot? You didn't mention any other signs of abuse, so absent additional info, so I can't say there's a pattern or not. But there's something critically wrong with your mother for playing this game. Maybe, if she started it when you were like 15 and you both laughed it off, but when you were terrified as a 4-year-old. Absolutely horrible thing to do to anyone, but especially a child. There's gotta be something seriously wrong with her, especially given the messed up guilt tripping and manipulation she's laying on now. Not the idiot, and seek support from whatever grown-ups you can trust in your life as soon as possible. Your mom is not well. You have lived with this all your life, so your normal meter is probably very damaged, but this is not normal. The vast majority of parents would never dream of playing such an awful traumatic prank on a child and to carry on doing it for years. It's horrifying. That is a seriously weird game. Maybe this is her way of making a bid for your attention and making sure she knows you care, but it is really weird, not to mention traumatizing and terrifying for you when you were a small child. She needs therapy to figure out what her needs are and to learn to communicate them and have them filled more appropriately and not necessarily by you either. I, 19, live with both my parents and my sister, 21. My sister and I have pretty okay relationships with our parents, but they're both pretty strict on us, and it becomes unbearable at times. Our relationship with each other has become quite stable and close over the past year or two, as we're both now adults and can understand each other better. I cook and clean a lot for her because she doesn't like it and I feel obligated to do what she tells me to as the younger sibling. About 2-3 years ago I started working and saving up to move out of the house once I started college. I told my parents this plan, and they supported me. I told my sister and she, what I thought was meant jokingly, said that she would move out with me. I laughed and said yeah sure, and we left it at that. Fast forward to now and I found a great apartment a few miles from my college, and I have enough for rent. I talked it over with my parents and they gave their approval, and I'll be out by the end of the month. I told my sister and she was just as happy as I was. She then started asking about the apartment and what her room looked like. I was confused and asked her what she meant by that. She said that I told her she would be moving with me. After I realized why she would think that I kindly told her I meant that as a joke and that she wouldn't be coming with me. She blew up at me after that and started calling me a liar and an idiot. As much as I love her and want to stay with her, she doesn't drive or work and wouldn't be able to help pay for rent and other things. Also, like I mentioned, she doesn't like cooking or cleaning, so I would basically be doing everything and paying for everything. She kept yelling at me after that and said I only get to move out because I was the favorite, which isn't true because our parents have treated both of us the exact same all our lives, and that I was just trying to make her life miserable by leaving her alone with both parents. We got into it after that, and I kept trying to tell her that just because I'm moving out doesn't mean I'm abandoning her. She called me an idiot again and shoved me out of her room and slammed the door in my face. We haven't talked since and she won't even let me be in the same room as her. Am I the idiot here for not taking her with me? Not the idiot. If that was her plan she should have worked and saved for it. And I don't know, maybe talk to you seriously about moving. Instead, she made assumptions. She has no job, doesn't drive and she's unwilling to help around the house. That doesn't make an attractive roommate for anyone. Hopefully, this will be her wake-up call to get her life in order. But just out of curiosity, does she not drive or have a job because of your parents? Although that is not obviously in your control. I'm 21 and my sisters are 17 and 15. I would never expect them to care for me like that. However, being the older sister, I would let them move in at 18 with me with the understanding that they would need to have a job to help with some bills and clean up after themselves. Our parents are horribly controlling, and I would do anything to help them get out, but I wouldn't put myself in a financial bind to get them out, or we would end up having to go back to our parents. I think if you were to let her come with you, she would need to get a job and care for herself. If she can't do that, then no. She seems like she has some problem she needs to work through on her own. She should have made a point to say she was serious, and if she was, she should have made more of an effort to actually help, like saving up for her own share and helping you find a place. To me, she sounds like the idiot since she had you do all the work and she expected to just tag along, then when you say no she pouts and locks herself up and makes you feel bad. I'm 29, not sure if I maybe overreacted in this situation, but here it goes. My brother passed away in a boat accident, and sometime after that my sister-in-law, his wife, found out she was pregnant with their first child. It was hard for her navigating her grief while pregnant, dealing with the fact that my brother will never know his son, and on top of all that the reality of now being a single mom. My parents live in another country and she doesn't talk to her folks much. So I started coming around a lot while she was pregnant. Bring her food, help with baby stuff and such. I was grieving too and needed the company. And it felt good knowing that I was helping out. After my nephew Charlie was born, I've been around way more. He's become the most important person in my life and I love him. Still help out my sister-in-law with whatever she needs for him. Clothes, money, toys, baby food, you name it. Charlie's over a year old and he's already talking. One that obviously caught me by surprise is when he said daddy to me when I came over yesterday morning. And I corrected him saying no, uncle. But guess he was stubborn. I confronted my sister-in-law on it. She says they were reading a book together and he got it in his head that I'm his daddy. Not sure about that, but throughout the rest of the visit he'd keep calling me that and it would twist something in me. And sister-in-law wasn't doing anything to correct him. In fact, she'd encourage it. After she put him down for a nap, she asked me what's so wrong about him calling me that, and I sort of lost my temper. Didn't yell or anything, but what I said was, because I'm not his dad. And I'm not gonna disrespect my brother like that, so why should you? My sister-in-law looked like she wanted to cry and I decided to end the visit there. On my drive back I got a text from her. She told me sorry for thinking I'd feel happy he'd call me that and she'll make sure he won't do it again. That I just didn't have to be mean by throwing the death of my brother at her face. I've had some time to think. It was an emotional moment for me, so I'm not sure if maybe that way I reacted made me an idiot. Especially because I made her cry. Am I the idiot? No idiots here. But OP, you need to sit down and think about the long run here. What role do you want in your nephew's life moving forward? Are you dating anyone? What would your partner think when you get serious with one about your relationship with your nephew? Would you step back from your relationship with your nephew when you have children of your own? Will his mother pull him back from his relationship with you when she finds a new partner? You need to figure out what you want and what you're willing to do and be to this child. Then you need to sit down with your sister-in-law and clarify what she wants and expects as well. Do it now, because your nephew is old enough to express an opinion, so you can't fudge it anymore. Not the idiot. I don't think it's healthy that your sister-in-law was encouraging your nephew to call you dada. I think you need to have a discussion reminding her that your intentions are to be a good uncle to Charlie, not to replace your father as a father or a husband. I hope I am wrong, but is it possible that her grief is making her misinterpret your support and see it as something more? No idiots here. I think you reacted harshly, but it was a reaction, and that's how it be. These situations are hard because you have filled the father role for this child, and your sister-in-law seems to just want this kid to feel like he has a dad. But the good news is, everyone can win here. Words are just meaningless noises that we put meaning into, meaning your nephew can still view you as his father figure, while you and your sister use a term of endearment that works for you.